Next, we're going to discuss about Dynatrace automation workflow feature. So before I go there, I want to give you some story. So automatic remediation is a key aspect of any production support or a site reliability engineering team, which predominantly manages, right? Ideally, they are the one who is going to handle the problems and they are the one who is going to resolve the problem. So now, how do I bring automation into my operational activities? For example, when my process got stuck or my process is unresponsive, I want to restart my service or a process. So this is one of the tasks which I perform regularly in my day-to-day operational task. It could be due to high memory leak or it could be due to high CPU, but I want to do this task manually. Likewise, the scaling infrastructure, scale up and scale down infrastructure depends upon the traffic or depends upon the load. This is another activity. For example, disk space management, database connection pool management. So a lot of activity I manually perform depends upon the problem I get. So now, how do I improvise this particular operational activity? Because ultimately, business should run as usual, and the amount of time the service is disrupted has to be reduced, which in terms mean time to repair and mean time to detect. That's something you can reduce with the help of my course. So you have seen what are different ways to identify the problem, right? That will ultimately reduce your mean time to identify the problem, which is good. But how do you resolve the problem in a less span of time? Because each organization follows certain process. For example, if I want to restart the process in a production system, I might need to get approval. Or if I want to do auto scaling or scale up, scale down and do a configuration change, I cannot do it right away. I need approvals. I need necessary process chain. I have to run the Jenkins job. I probably have a CI/CD pipeline which actually do the changes. There are a lot of process in between. Now, how do I reduce the time? How do I automate this complete remediation thing? We have something called zero touch operation and we have something called single touch operation. Now, with the help of Dynatrace workflow feature, I'm going to show you how you can automate the end-to-end workflow, meaning how you're going to reduce the burden for L1 or L2 support team or automating the remediation. Okay. The first and foremost thing when it comes to Dynatrace workflow feature, it is available only in a SaaS account. So you don't get this workflow feature in your on-prem account. So this feature is only available in your SaaS based account. The next thing is this workflow is a feature in Dynatrace. You need to provide certain permissions to this workflow so that you can do the workflow automation. For that, first and foremost thing, I go here to settings. Either I can make myself as a workflow admin or I go to authorization settings. Here, I have to provide certain permissions for the user. If you're admin, you can provide certain permissions to your SRE team member or a production support team member to run the workflow or to create the workflow. For now, I provide all the permissions. Okay, so you might get some warning error. Just uncheck those things. Wherever you see warning, just uncheck those options. Okay, don't uncheck everything, but only uncheck the place where you see the warning, because you can't do everything. We have given enough permission to this user. Okay, now save the change. Now, as a user, I have sufficient privileges to run this workflow. Now go back to workflow. Now let's get a new workflow. Okay, see, what is my intention? My intention is to automate the remediation or automate the self-healing principles. So I'm going to give a name here. Let's say automation L1 use case. Okay, this is my title of my workflow. First and foremost thing you see is, you'll see something called trigger point. If you click this one, Now you see, you'll get different trigger points. You will have certain tasks, right? For example, if the out of memory error happened, then you need to trigger this. The CPU error is happened, you need to trigger this. Or you want to run some job, some predefined job, you wanted to run it to a scheduled basis or on demand basis. So how does this workflow start? Whenever that trigger point is achieved, that trigger point could be an event, or it could be based on schedule, or it could be based on demand. Okay, so for now what I do, I'll just choose on demand. Okay, just choose on demand and go here. Now it's a on demand trigger, which means if I just click run, this workflow will run. Okay, now the trigger is happened. Then what is the action I'm going to do? Whenever something is triggered, I have certain tasks to be performed. So what task it can perform? Let's take an example. I want to integrate with Jira, Microsoft Teams, Slack. I want to send some notification message to these channels. Okay, so let's do that. What is the next step? Next step is I have to perform some task. Okay, as I was saying, I have to perform some task. Okay, whenever any problem has happened, what is my expectation? My expectation is to send the notification. I have different channels, notification channels. One is Microsoft Teams, Slack, and I probably have incident management tool also. Let's say Zen Duty or Pager Duty or ServiceNow. I should have this incident to be reported there. Now click task. Now you see Dynatrace Workflow has a default integrations. You see, it has integration with ServiceNow, PagerDuty, Microsoft Teams. So I have a lot of use cases which I want to do it through Dynatrace Workflow. Before that, I want to set up some integrations. My expectation is I want to set up an integration with Dynatrace Workflow. I want to set integration to MS Teams, Slack. I might also want to set the integration with Jira because I might get a Jira ticket automatically. I don't want to do anything manually. I want to set up to Jenkins and GitHub. I don't have account for service now, so I will use another incident management tool called ZenDuty, which is a trial version I'll use. So these are list of integrations I want to do. So first and foremost thing, let's build the integration first, and I'll show you a lot of use cases with using this integration we can do from workflow. Okay,